Remembering people's Instagram handles. So welcome, welcome, welcome to our patch party tonight. I am Dr. Kayla. I am a doctor, but I am not your doctor. So this entire presentation is just really incredible knowledge and wisdom and education that you've probably not heard before. And we're here to just blow your mind and awaken it to new possibilities of healing that exist. Nothing I say here or share is anything beyond education. It's not intended to treat, to cure, to diagnose, or suffice for medical advice. So I invite you to talk to whoever you trust your well being and medical decisions, health, sovereignty, providers, with those who are in your circle. And I will help out in the educational world of how we can learn more about opportunities to shift our well being through our own light. So let's dive in. LifeWave, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you've never heard of LifeWave before, this is going to blow your mind. LifeWave has a really big mission, and that is to help everyone not just look, but also feel younger. And I like to go a little bit deeper. It's not just covering up a symptom, it's actually healing from the inside out through patented wearable wellness products. And their goal intention is to reach 1 billion homes. And they're doing a really fantastic job. And I truly believe by the end of this year, when this really powerful documentary comes out, if they're not already making their headway and becoming a household name, they will going into 2025. So let's start at the very end before we go back to the beginning. I like to talk about the patent because it talks about exactly what we're going to cover. So we're going to like aerial view, and then we're going to go little by little by little, all the way down to exactly what we're talking about in the science and education, as well as the technology itself. So the patent here is for something we call X39. X39 is the proprietary patch that really has taken LifeWave to the next level. X39 has been out for about 5 years. LifeWave is a 20-year-old company with other incredible technologies coming out to be launched, as well as several other incredible patches in this suite, which we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. But the X39 is what we're going to talk about most importantly today because of its powerful impact and how we can educate ourselves on what our own body can do with our own light. So we can see here that it's highlighted, says produces beneficial effects to the human body, such as activation of stem cells. It also increases copper peptide, GHK copper peptide for short, in a subject's body, and it is a non-transdermal apparatus that reflects or emits specific wavelengths of light to elevate of the copper peptide GHK in the body. So again, like I said, we're gonna nerd out, but I like to read it straight to you. You can look it up on the patent website. A great website to go to is also startx39now.com if you want to read 90 clinical studies and go over all of the science and tech, as well as read all of the patents. But let's start in the beginning, like I said we were. So we started with X39 patent. Let's go back to how this all started. So this incredible man here is David Schmidt. He's a visionary, a scientist, an inventor, and the founder and still current CEO of LifeWave. And so LifeWave was founded in 2004. We just celebrated the 20th year anniversary. And it started all the way back when David Schmidt was working with the US Navy SEALs. So he was contracted to develop a drug free, non stimulant, chemical free apparatus to help the Navy SEALs do their job without altering their life potential, without, impacting their body in a negative way. And so he did exactly that. And he created something we call the energy enhancer patch, which actually still exists today and is really phenomenal. We'll talk about that here soon. But he created the energy enhancer patch. It was a great success. And then we know what happened around 2001. And so in 2001, the government massively shifted from the trajectory of being on the offensive to the defensive. And so we could see why David Schmidt took his technology and he continued elsewhere and founded LifeWave in 2004. So he has developed a huge suite of phototherapy patches since then, and with up and coming in 2025, some incredible, incredible technology that is going to massively be synergistic with the patches and also impact our health and vitality as we know it surrounding the means of water. So I will just share here because I've been talking about it and it's super, super jazzed up about it, is that this water is unlike any water we've seen before. So it is synergistic in the world of health and well-being and enhancing our vitality with a form of water that's never been created before. So I'll leave you enticed and excited there because there's lots more coming out about that we'll talk about. But there's offices in terms of Distribution, we're in over 80 different countries, 15 global distribution centers. It is an American-based company. There are laboratories, however, in Ireland, which is where David Schmidt himself studied stem cells extensively for over 10 years at the University in Ireland. There's manufacturing in California and Utah. And the only um, outside sourced material that's not made in-house for the patches is the medical grade adhesive, and that is sourced through 3M. So it is a company that's very integral, not just in the way they market, not just in their product lines, but how they are getting product to individuals as well. And although there's incredible technology that David has created, he stands by X39, which we talked about the patent, being his biggest and greatest achievement yet. So here we are. Let's start back at how all of this started, and we're going to go into the science and tech, and everybody always says it just doesn't make sense. It seems too good to be true. And we didn't reinvent the wheel. We went back, I did this, but David went back and he founded and starting looking at the fundamentals of healing and cellular health and vitality in the body. And so you could marry phototherapy, which is the study of light, as far as it impacts health. We could look at the Greeks, we could look at the Egyptians in terms of how they looked at different colored glass. They utilized different light in order to heal and honor the body. They worship the sun gods, right? And so we could see how utilizing phototherapy or utilizing the sun in the case of vitamin D, we synthesize vitamin D through our own bodies through going into the sun. So when you go outside, you get your 30 minutes of sunlight, you get exposure that actually allows your body to utilize its own light to synthesize something that your body needs a lot of. So if we marry that phototherapy with acupressure, I'm sure we've all heard of Chinese medicine. So we have the meridian system, which is kind of like a roadway or highway system that connects all of our cells, our organs, our tissues, and our organ systems together. When we have energy flowing through this channel in Chinese medicine and we have no blockages, we are moving and flowing freely and well. And when we have this traffic jam or these blockages in that chi energy, acupuncture traditionally uses needles. We have acupressure points, which are those kind of highway systems that we look at in the body. And so when we marry these two systems together, we get the science behind the patches. So how does marrying these two things together work? Well, let's look at our body as a whole. Our body is a living, a breathing, and a heat-emitting entity. So you can see, you could touch yourself. When you have a fever, you feel more warm. When you're cold. If you're in the South and it was 29 degrees today when you woke up and it was frosted everywhere, you're like, "Ooh, we're not used to this so soon." Your body emits heat, but it also emits heat in terms of light. So we have wavelengths of light. Our bodies are made of vibration, cellular vibration, energy, atoms, and also light. And so when we look at thermography, if you've ever had a thermography scan, you can see there's different rainbow colors of red where there's heat and inflammation, all the way from yellow and orange, all the way down to the blue and green cool spots. And so when you are able to look at this light, you could see that we put off a UV infrared light. And so David discovered you could capture this light and actually reflect it back into the body. And so that's exactly what the patches do. We are taking the patches and using them as a power source. I like to use the analogy of a solar panel or kind of plugging into an external outlet that allows you to have more power to what your body already wants to do. And so we have this patch. They call it a crystalline lattice structure. So the patch itself looks like a tiny little piece of cotton with adhesive around it, which we'll look at here. You stick it on your body, and light goes into the crystalline structure. When I say crystalline structure or lattice, literally like crystals, think of a mirror, right? Crunched up little mirrors or little organic compounds, which we'll talk about, and it reflects that back into your body. And then based off of your body's innate intelligence and divine structure, you're able to take that and enhance whatever biological necessity, peptide, hormone that your body is needing, and it can enhance it and basically tap into that power source. So again, it may blow your mind, but our light is so powerful. It's how we can utilize tools like thermography to determine things about ourselves that are, I think, way more advanced and progressive and in detail about looking at what we are physiologically than a lot of other tests out there personally. So this is what the patch looks like down here. Looks like a little pillow or a little cloud that you stick onto your body. Some people call them stickers, some people call them patches. I love all the names people come up with them. But really, there is nothing to it other than organic compounds. So it is made of that little cotton pad in between with those crystalline structures and a combination of stabilized waters, stabilized oxygen, sugars, and salts that form that crystal lattice structure. And that's what you can see here. This is a 100 times microscopic view. So you can see it looks like its own little design, kind of like a 3D printed structure. So depending on which patch you're wearing determines what structure is inherently in the patch. Therefore, when your body mirrors that light back into itself, what that light is able to enhance or to populate or to produce in terms of peptides and biological substances and nutrients the body requires. So my favorite part about this, like I said in the very beginning, is it is non-transdermal. So we're not putting anything in our body from the outside. We are simply allowing our body to do the work and tapping into something like a solar panel. So there are no ingredients, therefore there's no drugs, no chemicals. It is latex free, there's no stimulants, and it doesn't interfere with anything because we're not putting anything into our body. So there's no contraindications, and we are able to allow our body to do exactly what it was created to do without putting anything from the outside in. So let's talk about what happens with specifically X39. So X39 is that proprietary patch. We read the patent in the beginning, but I want to talk about what happens with the structure of X39. So the crystal lattice structure, when it reflects the heat and light of your body, enhances a peptide called GHK copper peptide. And this is not something that was just newly discovered. It's something that comes from Dr. Loren Pickart back in 1970s. He discovered GHK copper peptide was the holy grail of healing for so many reasons, which we're going to talk about now, because GHK copper peptide is a huge underlying necessity in a lot of biological functions. First and foremost, regarding hair, skin, and nails. So in a higher intensity or presence of GHK copper peptide, we see that it actually tightens loose skin, thickens older skin, reduces fine lines and wrinkles, increases hair growth and thickness, and also accelerates wound healing. And I want to take a step back and invite you to actually look this up on PubMed. This is not coming from LifeWave. This is coming from GHK copper peptide in the world of research all across the board. You'll find like 30 plus pages on the benefits of GHK copper peptide. Lung protection, we all know what happened in the world. I would say several years ago now, but not that long ago. And so we know that GHK tops the list for helping with chronic pulmonary issues, restoring healthy function in lungs, and protecting lungs from damage with cell damage. Then we talk about the hot topic of fast-growing cells, and we know that GHK is integral in helping program cell death and resetting that for the aging cells, combating fast-growing cells in areas, helping repair damaged cells and the epigenetics of that process, as well as talking about brain and nerves. So this is something that actually David today spoke massively about on one of his calls regarding X39 and the power of the water machine put together, is that when we have GHK and we have an increase in oxygen in the body, especially oxygen that we're able to put more particles of hydrogen and oxygen into the water, we have a channel for fast-paced healing and regeneration because we're able to access more or tap in more to the resources that our body didn't have before. And so this is kind of in that same realm as well. So not just brain and nerves, but we're talking about people in terms of damaged spinal cords. We talk about those with extreme chronic pain, those with extreme chronic dysfunction, those with long-term damage, mental health aspects as well, and mental well-being. And of course, it helps upregulate and downregulate the brain in terms of its balance and energy forces. Then we talk about antioxidant power. Whew, everybody wants more antioxidants. We all drink our elderberry syrup. We do all the things. We take all the things to have better antioxidant power. But essentially, we know that GHK helps really massively increase those means to help reduce oxidative stress, to help block that oxidation, to help protect against free radicals, and all of the other things in our environment that we're always wanting to protect ourselves from. But here is the Mac Daddy of it all. We know GHK actually causes adult stem cells to start producing again, and it also will help reset older, damaged stem cells to a healthier, younger state. So something that David himself talks about is when our stem cells start to age, when all of our cells start to age, we have, think of a cell like a really nice flat thick disc of water, or like when you put drops of water on a penny or on a nickel, right? We have like a lot of water, we have a lot of hydration in our cells, and as we age, those cells get depleted from the amount of water that starts to not be able to be held and hydrated in those cells. And so when we have GHK in our body, we can actually activate more of that hydration, putting more and more potential in the healing and vitality of those cells and allowing them to last longer and stay vibrant for longer, which makes a happier, healthier you. And so I want to share a personal story from a friend, an incredible, powerful woman in the LifeWave family. This is Marcy. Marcy in 2019 was struggling with fast growing cells. She was on really the verge of transition. She was getting all of her end of life preparations in order because she had given up and she knew that time was coming. And she had a really good friend of hers and doctor reach out to her and say, I just want you to try these. And so she was handed a handful of about 10 patches. And after day 3, she started to notice that she tasted this metalloid taste in her mouth. She started to taste all of the side effects of the conventional treatment that she was partaking in that was making her feel so yucky. And by day 7 and day 10, she had noticed that she had a renewed joy and zeal for life, and she tapped completely out of that downward spiral and moving into transition. And so here she is in 2020 and 23, and I've spent time with her in 2024. And as you could see, she's not just repairing and regenerating, but she's age reversing. And this is something that has completely transformed the health and well-being of her life. And now she has been on a mission for the past 4 or 5 years to really share this technology with others, and has reached over 100,000 plus people with the power of potential of healing with your own light. So Marcy's story is very near and dear and special. And if you ever get a chance, I invite you to check out the video on her personal story and her personal testimony. It's really powerful.
Hey, Lovey,
This,
we can't see
yes.
the presentation.
No, where
No,
did
so
it
we can't
go?
see Marcy's beautiful transformation.
Oh my goodness. It says it's sharing it. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Let's try again. This happened to me last night, y'all. I love technology, but reshare. It said it was green. Is it there now?
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness. Did you not see the whole presentation or just that section? Oh, you're muted again. I can't hear you.
I saw it and then it went away and now it's
Oh,
back.
okay. Good. Okay, good. I was like,
So
man,
it was
y'all
just
let me talk the whole time without a presentation? Okay, cool. I don't know where it went. It was still saying it was green and showing, so thank you. If it happens again, just tap in and let me know. All right, cool. So this gentleman here, we all love some good hair, skin, and nail testimonials. But most people start patching for other health reasons. And as we just shared, GHK copper is not particular in exactly where it goes. It likes to regenerate, repair, and enhance vitality in all of those aspects. So most people I find start patching maybe for pain or discomfort or chronic healing states, but we see this change happen relatively quickly with most of everybody who patches. And that is the collagen aspect, the aspect of that skin, hair, and nails type aspect. And so this gentleman, you could see his hair was turning white. He was losing some of his hair here. And now we could see the age reversal in shifting that as well. And this man loves his plaids. He surely does. All the way to his hair color actually reversing and changing. I like to point out his skin difference here. This looks very thin. This looks very textured and toned and very different. In that aspect, and you'd think these pictures went this one then this one, but they didn't. They're reversing. Then we have wound healing, and so we see a lot of wound repair, and not just in terms of scratches and bruises and cuts, but we also see in terms of deeper wound healing as well. And so, what I always like to say and ask people during these calls is, what do you know that your body needs and that you want it to change? But what do you actually don't know about that it actually wants to enhance and change? And so, we have two very different sides of the coin. We have our list of things that we want to repair and heal and feel in terms of motor and sensory experience. And we have those that we may not even know about that don't have motor and sensory components that are vital health necessities that may want actually wound healing and repair at a cellular level. And so when we're talking about long-term healing, this is why we're talking about the power of X39, the power of your own light to heal the potential of your own body, not just what you could physically see in terms of hair and skin and nails and maybe some motor and sensory and some chronic dysfunction, but what is the deeper layers that don't actually physiologically tell you what they're looking for. And that's really why I'm so passionate about this technology, because it's much deeper than just surface level. We're getting down to the cellular level, like the original bottom floor. So what else makes it so special, right? We talked about GHK copper peptide, the regeneration, the repair, the age reversal, but we also can talk about the levels of enhancement that it could make, even if you aren't chronically sick or chronically unwell, right? This is something that X39, I truly believe, should be a patch that everybody taps into and wears. It's a whole nother vitality source that we've never actually had the opportunity to tap into until this technology was created. And so we could see things such as enhanced energy and vitality. We could have rapid pain relief. We could have reduced inflammation. But the things that people want more of, that they're typically looking at other means of, or even thinking are impossible, like mental clarity, enhanced sport performance, better fast recovery from exercise, and even the improved skin appearance. I mean, I talk to so many women who are so self-conscious about, and not just that, I mean, and people who are freely 100% on board with aging, but are just so self-conscious about what has happened in their lives and maybe scars and wounds and experiences that are keeping them from living their most expressive and authentic lives. And so that's what makes me really always jazzed up about doing these calls, is because there's potential for everybody. It's not just those that are just looking to fix one or two things. When you put these patches on, you are tapping into all of those sources. There's no priority and ranking system. And I was sharing with a patient in my office today who had never heard of them and was getting ready to schedule a surgery and was like, wait a second, I could try this. I didn't even know this existed. I'm willing to give this 6 or 7 or 8 months before I sign up for a procedure. And that's what I think this is about. It's about sharing the potential that they're not going to show you on the news, and educating ourselves with something much bigger that our own body can do without putting anything inside of it. And so this is the sports enhancing performance side of things, and kind of dialing back into that energy enhancer patch we talked about. That's where LifeWave all started. And so when we look at the energy enhancer patch, David Schmidt took the patch and started testing and doing clinical studies on college collegiate athlete, specifically swim team at Stanford. And he noticed, after doing all this research with the swim coach, that they were having record-breaking times in practice compared to their highest record times in sport performance. And so they saw they had something on hand. And so they then took that to the Olympic swim team, and they did different trials and clinical studies with that. And then you've seen, probably without even noticing it, over the last 20 years, athletes all around the globe, Olympic athletes, professional athletes, wearing these patches, and you didn't even know probably what they were, because they are very powerful in terms of helping you live your optimum life. I mean, these are high-level athletes that have put blood, sweat, and tears into their, sport performance and living their most optimum vital physical aspects, and they're getting even better results with patches. And so most people feel intimidated when I say that. It's like, well, they're high-level athletes. When we look at the clinical research that these patches do for people who aren't athletes, if athletes are able to get even that much more of an advantage, what about the rest of us? And so when we look at the patch X49, which is a very powerful patch, and a lot of athletes use X49 with energy enhancer, we also want to look at that patch in terms of utilization in the older generations, in the 70s, 80s population, because we could see, if you've never listened to David Schmidt talk about the clinical research that they did with X49 in the older populations, those that have more, metabolic, um, what's what I'm looking for? Metabolic indifferences that they experience as they age, in terms of gaining fat, having less physical activity. We see massive shifts in terms of cardiovascular function, in terms of lung function, in terms of blood function, in terms of bone density, in terms of lean muscle mass, just by patching in a population that isn't physically active. And so I always like to share this, because yes, I believe if you're moving, you are an athlete, but you can be tapped into something even bigger, no matter if you're moving at a elite level like Michael Phelps did. He wore patches in, the Michael Phelps era of the Olympics. Serena Williams, we had Mike Tyson. If you just recently saw Mike Tyson, we have, RFK and all of those who are patching and have been patching for quite some time, and are tapped into the wisdom and knowledge of this light technology and the power of your own body to heal. So what to expect? I always like to start here, because most people always say, I was one of them, it's too good to be true. I put it on. I don't, how do you know if it's working, right? Everybody's like, I want to know if it's working. So the research shows that as soon as you put it on, within the first 24 hours, 3,000 to 4,000 genes begin to reset to a healthier, younger state. So even if you don't believe it is working, it is doing something. And I think that's really powerful because we're typically taught the opposite. You have to be in pain to notice something is working. You have to be taken out of something or put into something to notice a shift. And I will say, I experience probably 90% of people within just putting the patch on notice this aha light bulb moment, but really can't put words to it. But as we have those genes that are turning over and being reset to a healthier, younger state that are compounding day to day, we look at this in terms of 1 month, a new whole army is activated. So it's just like growing a whole new trajectory of seeds and potential in your body to compound each other every single day. And within 6 weeks, we have the brain becoming more balanced. So we have brain balance, which we know improves our memory. It decreases the expression of depression, anxiety, enhances our sleep, our circadian rhythm. And we check this with brain mapping. I always like to shout out when Dr. Tiffany's on here as well because we've done some really cool personal, interpersonal research on this. Dr. Tiffany has an incredible technology called the Neuroinfinity that she utilizes in her practice to test brain mapping and regulation on all of her patients. And so she did her own personal study when she started patching. She took her scans, which she had been scanning, and saw the indifference clinically of what her physical health and her health expression was saying matched with the brain mapping. And after a few weeks of patching, she saw the symptoms and the things starting to heal, and she noticed the tissues changing. And so she redid another brain scan and she saw all of those variables go back to normal. So it's not just these big research pieces that we're looking at this on a multifaceted level of people actually tracking and regulating and noticing their changes going on in their body. And so this is not something that is too good to be true. It's just something we've never awakened our mind and opened our mind to be able to tap into. A total shift in health paradigm. So if we continue within 3 months, we know collagen is increased, which collagen rapidly repairs tissues in the body, which is how I have conversations all the time about knees, hips, joints, shoulders, tissues being repaired, and we're avoiding things such as surgery and other outside in opportunities because our body's able to tap into what it was built to do. And then my favorite part of this is the cardiovascular system. So within 6 months of patching, research showed that for 6 weeks of patching in the cardiovascular system, the system acted 8 weeks younger. And so if you do that math, it equates for every day you wear the X39 patch, your cardiovascular system metabolically acts a day and a third younger. And that's where you get that age reversal component from. I also like to share too our interpersonal studies of what a lot of my other practitioners, practice members, if you are familiar with other different metabolic data technologies, such as the Aura Ring. I've had patients who have Aura Rings or doctors that wear Aura Rings within the first 3 days have their scores up go 10, 15, 20 points. And they just say, I just feel different. And then they physically can see those changes. We utilize the neurological subluxation station in our office, and we've seen drastic changes heart rate variability, and muscle EMG, and also thermography when we have someone who is in a chronic health state who's been under regular chiropractic care and slowly making changes. And then we add in these patches that tap into a whole nother layer of potential that we don't have the ability to tap into. It's up to the innate intelligence of that own person's body and own light. And we've seen massive shifts in those things as well. So there's several markers that we could look at. And so I challenge everybody on here, patch for 1 year, because if you've ever done anything for 1 year, you've found some type of benefit from it. And most of the time, it's a massive payout. You're paying out dividends and not just your health and well being, but what else can potentially change in your life if your health and vitality has shifted. Because I'll be honest, I've been in private practice for 6 years now. And most people who come in chronic health situations, as soon as they start to feel better, they forget that ever existed, right? They totally forget that they ever once couldn't do this and they couldn't do that. And they start looking for more things that they can do. So maybe it's someone who couldn't even barely get out of bed in the morning and have energy. And now they're several months into this and they're like, oh yeah, I'm up all day. I exercise 6 days a week. And I'm just really frustrated that I have this muscle soreness. And I'm like, muscle soreness? You couldn't even walk 6 months ago. Like, right? We don't even realize because we're just, it happens all the time. Like, you just don't realize when your body is actually healing and regenerating because it's a positive exponential trajectory. And so, if you did this for a year, which honestly is the easiest thing you'll ever do, is take a sticker, take the tape or the backing off of it, stick it on your body. It takes 10 seconds right before you brush your teeth. When you go to bed, you brush your teeth, you take it off, and just make sure you drink increased water throughout the day, have great minerals, have great hydration, and bam, 12 months of that. I've been patching probably 14 months now, and huge shifts that I'm still experiencing. That's what I mean by the untapped potential and why I like to talk about the what to expect things because we don't even know we can tap into with these aspects. Yeah, Cheyenne said, every time I hear this story, it blows me away. The benefits happen so quick. Yes, everybody can absolutely see it. It's like kind of like when you see something and then you can never unsee it again, even if you really want to unsee it again, it's just always going to be in the back of your mind. It's like now you all know that there's so much more untapped potential that you could tap into. And so I want to share just for a few minutes about all of the patches in this suite because X39 is the one that you want to wear daily. That is the one that you want to activate with your own light, that GHK copper peptide, which activates your stem cells. And so that is one that is, I mean, the most powerful in underlying helping and facilitating healing in the body. The rest we call support patches because they help support and hone in and focus on the areas that you maybe want some more specifics in that are tapped into your list. And this is where I go into this is the list that you want, this is the list that your body wants. Majority of the time, your body wants to check this box before it checks this one. So you could start with X39 and you can flow beautifully. However, you may work on this list for quite some time. And so if you're a person that wants to really optimize, let's work on both lists together because we could tap into even more vitality and even more optimum health and well-being by creating something customized to you so you can experience even more potential in various aspects other than just with X39. So again, X39 is the foundation, it's the cement that we pour and then we build the house. So X49, we talked about this a little bit, sometimes can be called the athlete patch, but for the most part, it is cardiovascular, it is blood, it is bone. So if you're looking at bone density, you're looking at um, fat loss, you're looking at increasing muscle tone, muscle strength, stamina, lean body mass. You're helping with the blood flow, the cardiovascular system. This is the one that you want to add in. Then we have glutathione. Glutathione is the master antioxidant and immune booster in the body. So most everybody has heard of glutathione. It can help the detoxification systems. It can remove metals from the body. It's really fantastic at being a great help with healing and facilitating when you're experiencing health symptoms or health expressions. And it's really great to support the liver as well. Then we have Eon, which is the anti-inflammatory, anti-stress, or happy patch. This helps with brain inflammation, but also inflammation in the entire body. So if you have chronic any type of autoimmune, chronic any type of whatever those diagnoses that you will place on yourself, those are inflammatory. And we know inflammation eats away stem cells, doesn't help our body potential to heal. So by reducing inflammation, brain inflammation, helping reduce oxidative stress, you are able to enhance your overall vitality. This is a great patch to just facilitate mood. I wear it at night. It's wonderful to relax, reduces inflammation, and you just wake up feeling so much more rejuvenated. Next is carnosine. Take a drink of water before I run out of a lot of in my mouth from being so happy about these things, talking about them every single Wednesday. And so carnosine is a really powerful patch. We want to think heart, brain, organs. So this is an essential amino acid that even if you are a big carnivore like I am, we're still deficient in it because our body and our food systems don't allow us to intake as much anymore due based on our environment. It's great for cellular communication. It could be used as a first aid patch for lumps, bumps, bruises, lacerations, clots, skin things, anything that is a lump, bump, bruise that you want to go away, put a carnosine patch on it. No matter what you call it, put a carnosine patch on it. It also helps regulate blood sugar regulation. It's really fantastic with the heart, brain, and skeletal muscles. So it is known to enhance muscle strength by 125%. So I mean, any population, whether you're active or you're not active, right? Whether you are, a young generation or an older generation, this is really important for us. And it also can help with telomere length. So those of you that are blue zone fanatics, this is a great patch. Um, to help with lengthening those telomeres, which helps lengthen our longevity and a measure of our overall health and well-being. And also those in the nervous system world. So it's great for neuropathies, it's great for radiculopathies, for repairing nerve tissue, but it also is fantastic at pulling aluminum from the brain. So in the neurocognitive essence, this is also a powerful patch. Doo-doo-doo. Yes, telomeres, Cheyenne. So yes, um, telomeres are the end caps on our chromosomes, and if we look at blue zones and we study blue zones, we look at the areas where people live longer than we are living as a general society. They all have really long telomeres. And so we know that that telomerase is really important, and carnosine is one of those factors that help enhance that, along with the Alavita patch as well. Oh my gosh, such an alignment. She said I was just talking to my mom about this. Yes, carnosine and Alavita very powerful for telomeres, and X39, X39, carnosine, Alavita, all of your telomere patches. All right, so then we have Alavita right on cue. Look at that. So Alavita is a patch, and they also have a system, which if you are loving all of the patches and you're on here and you're sharing, you'll want to try out the system because the system's fanatic or phenomenal. And if you're an Alavita fanatic like I am, the patches just complement, or the creams just complement the patches by wearing them. And they are on sale from December 4th until December 10th in terms of the Alavita system. And so, yes, Sloan said it's on special right now. It is. So the patch itself is gosh, the patch is just, the Alavita patch is magical. There's so many things that it does. Mental clarity, focus, stimulates the hypothalamus, the pineal gland, helps with sleep and circadian rhythm, decreasing cortisol. It helps with blood. Oh my goodness, what else does it help with? There's so many things. It stimulates the frontal lobe of the brain. Yeah, it's the epithalin peptide, the epitalin peptide. There's a whole entire book written on this patch, an entire book of research written on X39 by Dr. John Harmon. So incredibly powerful. But if you combine it with the system together, you have an eye cream, a day cream, and a night nectar. Those actually contain GHK copper peptide in it. So the creams have GHK copper peptide in it, and then you're wearing the patch, so you're also stimulating your own production of GHK copper peptide. And if you are a skincare girly, there's no need for Botox. Just get the Alavita system. That's it. I'm gonna say it. Just get the Alavita system. I literally ordered 3 of these systems today because it's powerful, and if you get this system, especially on this special, you get 2 months of everything. So you get 2 months of patches and 2 months of the day cream and the night cream, or if you choose the one with the eye cream, you get all 3 of them wrapped together. It is a steal. It's the best time of year to buy them. Yes, it will, like, it's just like magic for fine lines and wrinkles and all of the things. So if not a less, get Alavita and X39 because you need X39 with it too. Have to, have to, have to. All right, let's keep moving. So now we have SP6. SP6 is another favorite of mine. It is also called the weight loss or the food craving patch or the balancing hormone patch. But really what it helps do is helps you know, tonify those autonomic nervous system organs such as the kidneys, the liver, the intestines, the pancreas. So that's how it helps in terms of adrenals as well. So it really is great for balancing those parasympathetic type hormones and helping improve function there. And Sloan said, lost 6 pounds with this patch, it cuts cravings. It's wild. It will completely shift the trajectory of your nutrition. So if you're eating too much yucky stuff, it'll really crave you down. If you're not eating enough protein, I've found it actually once helps people facilitate better diet and nutrition and nutritional density intake because their body wants to have more health and vitality. So I've also had people who don't want to lose weight, but they want to either gain weight or they want to gain muscle and they want to balance out hormones. This is really fantastic with that too. And also, this is also a patch that can help with the hormonal aspect of things. So a lot of women over 40 call this the magical hot flash patch. So it can help with pre, peri, post menopause or fertility, wherever you're at in your hormone journey. It's really fantastic for irregular menstrual cycles. I've had all kinds of incredible testimonials in my office with everything hormones, female and male. So it's a really great patch as well. Next, we have Silent Nights. Silent Nights helps improve sleep, so it helps your body, utilizing your own light, produce more melatonin and more serotonin. So this is a fantastic patch if you have insomnia or you want to regulate better sleep. If you have thyroid, you want to be on SP6 and Silent Nights to help regulate the circadian rhythm of the thyroid. Same thing with cardiovascular system. Um, Regulating a healthy cardiovascular system comes from getting good sleep. We know sleep is probably more important than even diet. We need sleep to be able to generate hormones and to heal and to have peak vitality. And then the last two is energy enhancer, which you've talked a lot about in terms of its production and what they've used it for. But energy enhancer is really a all over the board patch. First and foremost, it's an incredible patch for grounding energy. So a lot of older generations then the aging generations will actually wear energy enhancer on their feet to ground themselves. They feel like they're more stable, they feel like they have more balance, they have better coordination, and they're actually able to feel more grounded. And it's not a energy drink. It's not like a coffee high. It is not a caffeine anything. It is igniting the mitochondria in every cell. So it's basically turning on the powerhouse of the cell to turn fat into energy. So it's optimizing the energy of the system. It is a slow burn. It is not like I'm going to have this energy drink and then all of a sudden, bam, right? None of that. This is something that can help in so many aspects. So I have people who wear it just for the grounding energy. I have some people who wear it for muscle soreness, for helping energy and endurance. I have a lot of athletes who wear it to enhance performance. It also can really help with digestion. If you have nausea, if you have reflux, it could help dampen the phlegm in the lungs. If you're familiar with acupuncture, it could help increase the lung qi and also the qi overall in organs. It's a tonifier. If you're familiar with red laser, it is a fantastic comparable to getting red laser treatments because it has the same type of effect on the body. And then also, it is really great at helping improving lung and breathing function. So you could enter those diagnoses in your own mind, but putting it right here on this area, this patch is a two-patch system. So every patch except for Energy Enhancer and Ice Wave are two-patch systems. Or sorry, repeat that. Energy Enhancer and Ice Wave are two-patch systems. Every other patch is one patch. So you have these two work off of polarities. So you would put two patches on, a tan one and a white one. So I love the Energy Enhancer patch. It's a really great catch-all, whether you're congested or you have digestion stuff or you're wanting to enhance performance and not have that muscle fatigue afterwards. Last two are actually the same patch. One is for animals, marketed to animals. One is for marketed to humans. I have had lots of animals wear every other patch because other animals need other things other than pain reduction. I've actually personally never put AccuLife, the marketed patch, on my animals. They just use all of my patches. So take that as you will, my personal opinion, and my personal thoughts on that process. But Ice Wave is one of the most magical patches in the LifeWave suite because it is fast acting, non-addictive, non-stimulatory, drug-free, and will take away any long-term chronic pain, any type of pain in less than 3 minutes. I've put it on people with long-term fibromyalgia, chronic neck, chronic back pain, and it literally is magical. And you can wear it for 24 hours. So it's a great way to take Ice Wave to be pain-free without the symptoms and side effects and combine it with X39. And so I always like to say, if you have pain or chronic pain, you've probably found ways to mitigate your pain regardless of however you're doing it. But have you ever found a way to be pain-free and heal at the same time? No, probably not. And so I always love to put Ice Wave on people who have kind of lost hope, who are, feel like they've failed out of the system because it will reduce pain. We patch them with X39 and it is just a magical combination. Combined with Eon, you get the most beautiful, dynamic process of helping heal, de-inflame, and help feel actually like something is changing, even while it's taking time behind the scenes. Because we get it, it's frustrating to be in pain. It doesn't, we don't want to be in pain for 6 months to heal something. We want something now. And so you can be pain-free and you can facilitate healing. And that's why I said in the beginning, we combine the magic of these patches together to facilitate a specific customized regimen for you on what your health and vitality goals are and what you want to experience in your life. So wrapping this up, how do we do this? Well, the patches are literally they look like stickers. They are just stickers. We want to apply them to clean, dry skin. You wear them for 12 hours on, Then you take a 12-hour break from each one that you're wearing. So a common question is, how many of these can I wear at a time? You could literally wear every single one at a time if you wanted to, but when you take each one off, it has to have a 12-hour reset time. So X39 needs a 12-hour reset, SP6 needs a 12-hour reset. The only one you can wear 24 hours is IceWave because it works on polarities, not on enhancing peptides. So each patch, though, here's the caveat, actually is activated for 24 hours once you put it on. So when you take it off after 12 hours, it still has a consecutive 12 hours left before it's essentially like deactivated. So you could patch your pet, you could throw it on a partner or spouse or whoever you live with in your home that you could easily switch it to. It is less sticky, so you would have to put some tape or a band-aid or get, creative with that because the adhesive sticks to you very, very intensively. When you take it off, it is less sticky. But after the 24 hours, you throw it away and you put another patch on the next day after your 12-hour reset. So most importantly, most importantly, if you're patching on here, if you are going to start patching, water is the conduit. Our bodies are made of water. We have to have water to help create new cells, to turn over healthy cells into even healthier cells, to help create and get rid of old waste cells. So we need water. So making sure you are intaking a high amount of water and also having great mineralization. So real salt, like Redmond's real salt or Baja Gold salt or any high quality bougie salt with lots of high minerals. A lot of people say Celtic salt. I think Celtic salt's a great start, but there's so many better options than Celtic salt out there if you actually look into it. So yes, I like Redmond's real salt, Baja Gold. You could salt to taste. You could eat the salt off your hand. You could put salt underneath your tongue until it tastes salty because those types of salt are high in minerals and we require that. I'm not talking about sodium, actual real salt. So that's my 2 tips for patching. You will see better results more quickly if you have better hydration and better mineral content and salt in your body to help facilitate that electrical chemical gradient. So if you haven't started patching yet and you want to start patching, I invite you to ask me any questions, reach back out to the individual that invited you here so that we can connect with them and we can help get you something very customized and specific to your health and vitality goals and thank them because this is something that is just mind blowing and beyond the world that we've ever known to exist in the health paradigm. And it's something that is taking this health paradigm shift by storm because your own body has even more potential than you've been led to believe. So does anybody have any questions or want to unmute themselves to ask any questions? This is the time for everybody to just share and connect and we could get anybody their questions answered, patches recommended. And yeah, go ahead.
To speak. Hello?
Hi, Nicole.
I can't see myself on screen today.
It's okay.
I don't know if you can see me,
Oh,
but
but it's okay. Your voice sounds lovely.
so with the ice wave, I just got my package in. Which one goes on what foot? Like if I
Good
put them
question.
at the bottom of the feet.
Yes. So with the IceWave patch, white on right always. Now you'll never forget. White on right, white on right, white on right.
Okay.
Tan goes on left. However, when you're patching for general all over pain, you would put the white on right, tan on left if you're patching kind of just a global area. So if you're going to put them on the bottom of your feet, that's for all over body pain, white on right, tan on left. If you're going to put them up here, anything upper body you could put here, anything lower body put towards the feet. You just do
Okay.
white on right, white on right, tan on left. However, if you're
Okay.
going to patch for an isolated joint, like
Uh-huh.
let's say a shoulder or a single knee, you would put the tan patch on the most painful point and you would stick it right in the center and then you'd take the white patch and I recommend taking off just one of the little pieces of tape on the back of it and either going at 12, 6, 3, or 9 because what you're doing is you're looking for the pain channel that you're breaking up. It's kind of like if you had electrical currents coming off that pain. We want to be able to put it on there to break up that pain channel. So I always say take half of that patch sticky off, stick it at 12, give it a couple minutes. If you notice the pain reduced, but it hasn't reduced more than like 2 points, go somewhere else because you could find somewhere that's pretty darn near close to zero pain, if not zero pain, by just playing along this clockwise mechanism. And I have a video. I know Sloan will send it to you.
Okay. Sounds
but
good.
with a cool skeleton and everything. But I would start with either if you have lots of different parts of the body that are in pain, starting with the feet or the upper area and trying it, and then the next day or even a couple hours in, if the pain comes back, switching it and playing around with them. So if you're new with it, I would just recommend taking off half of that until you find the part that you want to patch that does become pain-free. Then you could take the full sticky off and leave them there for 24 hours.
Okay. I pretty much got all of that, but I'll
Great.
I'll go to the video again too.
Yeah,
That
cool,
was really
perfect. So,
helpful.
do you want to say something?
Thanks. What?
No, I was gonna say, I wanted to know, Nicole's talking about that. Her husband had like neck pain,
Mhm.
and you were kind of talking about how to use the patches, like using half the, like taking off only part of the peel and like moving up the neck. And since Nicole's on here, I wanted to see if you could just restate that, because he gets a
Yeah.
lot of stuff up the back of the neck.
Yep.
So that would be helpful.
So you could apply the white on right, tan on left to localized pain as well. So typically with headaches or neck pain, you would start with white on right, tan on left, and you would start kind of on the trap muscle. So you would start there, do half a patch, like, and see if after a couple minutes if it decreases. If it only decreases a little bit, you could really work your way all the way up. So if someone's having a migraine headache, you might want to look towards the temples and just starting up from this system up here. But you would keep that same white on right, tan on left as well. Unless you were isolating like a painful joint, then you'd want to do it the opposite way. So no matter where that neck pain is, as long as you're staying in that polarity system anywhere up here, you could just go ahead and give that a try. You might have to try a couple spots. Everybody's different. Usually I find it takes 1 or 2 or maybe 3 spots to find it. But if I always say if you go from an 8 to a 5, there's a better spot. You could probably get to a 2 or a 1. You just have to find that spot and give it a try. And so that's why you do half a sticky until you find it, so you don't keep sticking and unsticking.
That's what I was gonna ask you about. How come using the half a sticky? Okay,
Yeah,
now.
so once you find the spot that decreases the pain the most, put the whole sticker on. Don't leave the half on. That's just to give you an opportunity to take it on and off without making the adhesive go dry.
Oh, gotcha.
Cool. Good questions.
That was a great question.
Anyone else? Naomi, I know we've been chatting a little bit. Do you have any questions that you want to ask? Ooh. No? Cool.
Sorry.
There you are. Yeah.
Sorry, my phone case makes it so hard to hear. I'm just taking it off. No, you know what? I just took a bunch of notes. I'm just absorbing everything. So it was
Cool.
awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just feel free to reach out or send me an email or a message and we could answer questions that come up later. Because I know everybody, like, when I started processing it, I was like, oh my gosh, I had to watch this so many times and read things so many times. And like, every question kept coming up. So take your time.
Yeah,
Cheyenne,
no,
you want
I
to say
really
something?
appreciate it.
I have one question
Yeah.
about you brought up the thyroid stuff, and I'm just thinking about my mom. She had her thyroid taken out.
Mhm.
So how would it affect that? Like, hypothetically speaking, you probably can't say this, but could she get off of her other hormones?
So I will share a testimonial, which I will say for the sake of this is an anecdotal testimonial because I can't provide medical advice. I could only share what I've experienced. I have had quite a few individuals who have started utilizing patches specifically for thyroid, and all of different ages, all different long lengths of terms of different medications. Some have thyroid, some don't. And I've found that there's not really a magical equation to what happens regardless if someone has one or doesn't, or is on something or isn't, or what type it is, or how long they've been on it. I've had really incredible things shift and change and witness people have, even those that don't have some organs, have better function while wearing patches than being on whatever course of treatment they want to be on. So I always say the body's super powerful. I mean, we could live with that. If we could live without a vital organ, we've just been taught right? That we have to have some type of other facilitation in there. I mean, that's up to everybody's own discretion. Some people still choose to stay on medication even though their function's better. But what I've noticed consistently is I'm sending people back to their provider to make choices based off of changes that they're experiencing while wearing patches and long-term consistency on some type of regimen that when they're on this regimen, they start patching and the regimen all of a sudden doesn't seem to be working the way it should have been working consistently. So I will leave it at that. But yes, there's lots of potential that I've seen in so many aspects, especially around hormones and thyroid and anything on that endocrine level as well.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. One thing I do want to mention too that I didn't really mention before is LifeWave recommends 1 month of patching for every decade you are old. So if you're 30, 3 months, 40, 4 months, 50, 5 months. And the reason being is that's not a you patch for 5 months because you're 50 some years old and then you're done patching. That is like I kind of use like this elevator analogy. It's like if I want to be on the top floor looking down at all of the potential healing in my body, and I'm 50 years old, the minimum I would want to be committed to is 5 months in order to start to see how those floors are balancing themselves out. But that's why I use the year analogy, because gosh, like what potential exists outside of just that minimum recommendation. And so also too, they make that minimum recommendation because everybody's health and vitality state is different, right? We all have lists, those 2 lists. Some of our lists of what we want are really advantageous, and some of our lists of what our body wants are even more advantageous, and we don't even know that. And so it could take, even if you're 30 some years old, 3 months of patching may not only check off like 20, 30, 40% of this list, that we just don't know what we don't know about our current health state. So I always recommend, especially with things like thyroid or things that have been going on for a long time, we have to trust that our body is healing something, and it may have taken 10 years to get there in terms of health expression, but we could probably reverse that in such a smaller time. But we've been so educated that if it doesn't happen in 2 weeks, we're not worthy of it. Or if it doesn't happen in 5 months because we were told to patch for 5 months and we're 50 years old and it hasn't happened yet, doesn't mean it's never going to happen. It just means that there's a priority list that we aren't privy to. We don't have a conscious awareness of. And that's when I've seen the biggest shifts. When most people want to quit anything in life is when we see the biggest shifts, right? It's like that last moment of like, I just want to be done with this. And then they stay the course and things shift. And that's where I would say a lot of the long-term things that most people don't have hope for, they start patching for their short list and then they stay consistent with it, they do see those massive changes with consistency in terms of vital function that they never thought were possible. Like big things shifting in terms of, I typically recommend within the thyroid, like 3 to 6 months before you're even doing blood work to confirm changes. Because how long you could get blood work taken every single day and you will get different values every single day. Because your body's not it's a fluid system, but it's not a machine unless you're putting things into your body to make yourself a machine. Like you're regulating every single system. So if you're on 32 pharmaceutical drugs, you probably are going to get the same numbers every single day. But if you're not, your body is upregulating and downregulating, responding and being coherent and having all these different pools in order to make it flow as a fluid system. So a lot of those that are very hyper focused on testing and biologics of things, I think struggle the most because they're not seeing the long-term changes in the immediate, because those are not long-term means of measuring when you're measuring them so monthly or so every couple months. So if someone's starting to patch for long-term benefits and they're going to get blood work, I say either hold off or get it and then wait a longer trajectory, because you may notice that if you get blood work today, you start patching tomorrow, you get blood work in 2 or 3 months, you'll probably be in the midst of a swing, whether an upswing or a downswing, and you're going to be like, I'm quitting this because it's not doing anything. But if you waited 6 months, you may have missed that entire potential trajectory of seeing this and you'll see the phase of I went from here and now I'm here and things are regulated, and you won't have that like confliction, because I feel like I know we create our own conflicts in the midst of our ups and downs because we're constantly creating more worry and creating more things, and if you go searching for these things, I promise you will find them because they exist in there. You just have to let the space in between be the space in between. That's my spiel on the thyroid. Cool. Anybody else have any questions?
I have
oh,
oh.
go ahead.
I have a question about a friend's mother just had a pulmonary embolism.
Mhm.
I was looking in testimonials for something around that. I didn't see anything.
Did you
I'm
look at the Evolved Stories section on a Telegram?
yes.
Okay. Yeah, from a GNM perspective is what I would speak to in terms of pulmonary embolism.
Yep.
Pulmonary embolism for a female, right-handed female, is a territorial loss or a sexual conflict resolution. I'm trying to think. I'm tapped out, y'all. My brain is really struggling at 34, for almost 35 weeks pregnant. It's really finally hit me. I've upped my choline to like 4 a day, and it's still not helping. But along those lines, the patches have done so well for me. But there's the time where things are just like, what is going on? But yeah, so I will say in the GNM world, it is depending on handedness, depending on hormonal status and laterality of the brain. There's a lot of things that go into it, but it is a resolution conflict of either one of those, depending on if they're biologically male or biologically female in hormonal status. And so it's a resolution phase, and it most of the time can be fatal because those individuals are not biologically adaptable because the conflict ran too intense over a very long period of time. So it's like if we resolve something quickly and it's of less intensity, our body doesn't have as much to recover from. But typically thinking about those two type programs, even like traditionally in a female situation, it can be a sexual conflict. So, and that could be interpreted to and by the individual psyche, right? So that's typically not something we share. It could go on for years and decades before we resolve something like that, which is why our bodies are biologically not adaptable. However, I will say in the terms of patching, now that I mentioned the GNM world and out of the diagnosis world, blood, like clotting, coagulation, blood flow, cardiovascular system, like X39, X49, Alavita, carnosine, like those are three. I can't even count now. 3 or 4 fantastic measures in order to, help facilitate healing in that aspect and regeneration. And of course not treating it, but looking at the residuals that come from that resolution and what the body's trying to do.
And if you had like surgery for it, that would there be anything else that would be good in that?
I mean, that would be like post any type of surgery. I mean, even someone who is prone to pulmonary embolisms because of conflict relapse or hanging healing and not regenerating that. But that would be like a long-term process, right? Like that's someone patching long-term. The more intensity that I find of a conflict someone runs, you don't want to rush healing, right? You don't want to like push someone into a massive healing state, because then, depending on the intensity of the conflict in the GNM world, biological law states the intensity and the length of the conflict is equal to the intensity and length of the healing state. So if someone was conflict active for 10 years with a sexual conflict, yes, traditionally the body's going to downgrade, but it's kind of taking like, it's like creating a diamond. You're taking 10 years of pressure and putting it into a force of healing, and you wonder why your body can't biologically adapt to it, because you didn't have the power to withstand the pressure, the intensity of that diamond being formed, because it's a massive conflict. But when we start patching, we're enhancing the pool, the well of what the potential our body has. So like when I healed my kidney collecting tubule conflict, I still personally believe I healed it way too fast. because that's just who I am. Like I like hard and fast, and here I am, and that's like I'm gonna get this done. And so it was a 9-month intense conflict that was pretty intense for 9 months, hence why I gained 30 pounds of water weight in 8 weeks. I made it into like a 4-month resolution, which I probably should have made it less. But I also wasn't just patching. I was doing energy work, and those are things that really rapidly speed it up because you could change the trajectory of that. Was I adaptable? Hell yeah, I was. But for 48 hours, I felt like I wasn't adaptable to anything. Like I felt like it was the end. And it just depends on what people can handle and what your body can handle. Like you learn more as you go through those deep resolution cycles that it may not, like if I ever go through that again, I'm going to be okay with taking 9 months to resolve that conflict instead of 4 because that was a massive intensity of a situation. And so there's a lot of factors that you could factor in when you know those things and then you start patching, and you just don't add other things in because you let your body heal over time because healing is a progression, not a sprint. It's a marathon process. And I even have to remind myself of that because everybody wants to heal super quickly and be done with it and not have to deal with the weight and not have to deal with things being, whatever the symptoms are that you're experiencing, we just want it to be over with. But yeah, so that's what my thoughts on that whole process is, just low and slow, because the body 90 to 95% of the time is going to resolve the conflict anyway without your conscious awareness of it. It's just preventing creating more conflicts to keep you in that state. That's the whole trick of it. It's like, how do I not pathologize myself to be able to prevent myself from creating more conflicts?
So when you say low and slow, that would be like what would that mean for those patches?
Yeah, I mean, low and slow would be starting with those patches, sticking to the patches, not throwing a million supplements at it, not throwing a million like
Got it.
techniques at it, not throwing, I mean, yeah, I mean, I had Reiki done every other week. I was doing my own alchemy work. I was doing my own, yeah, I mean, like, I was like, I know what this is. I'm going to tackle it. And then when I finally like stopped, when I was finally like, I'm so tired of doing all this work to heal it and it's not working, like I got out of my own way and allowed my perspective to shift. I was then driving my kids and I was like, oh my God, like it felt like someone flushed the toilet with a massive, refilling the toilet with massive kidney pain. And for the next 48 hours, I had extensive kidney pain to the point that it knocked me out. Like, and I just went to sleep for that long. And then I just kept urinating out all of that, the infection, all of that. And I lost 15 pounds overnight in 14 hours of peeing probably like a liter of water out every couple hours. So, I mean, like, that's what my body did. But imagine if I just took 2 weeks to do that on its own without the massive pain and intensity, like, but I facilitated that. I mean, we all learn. I am an experiential learner. So that's how I learned. And I will not do that again. And I don't advise people. And it's really only because when you're in if you're in such a low parasympathetic state, your body's just going to rush to healing. And it needs to, because you have to be in parasympathetic to heal. However, if you are taking things, doing things, you're doing this in and out of parasympathetic to sympathetic, and you're just kind of, it's like a pump. You're just pumping the system to do more and more and more, and it just keeps depleting you. So if you can't handle this low parasympathetic state because it's painful and it's too intense, you just take something natural like herbs, homeopathy, frequency, something biological to lift yourself a little bit out of parasympathetic so that when you lift yourself out of parasympathetic, maybe down here at peak low parasympathetic, it would take 2 days to heal, but that's too intense for you. So you raise the parasympathetic, staying in parasympathetic, and maybe it takes 4 or 5 days to heal. So you could leverage that when you know what you're doing, but most people, when they feel down here, they take something that takes them out and they go straight to sympathetic. And they have to repeat the cycle over again. And then you just get this chronic pain out of pain, pain or discomfort, symptoms out of pain. And you just keep running that cycle. And that's how you get more and more intensity of conflict. And that's what I was doing. I was doing energy healing. It was bringing me down here. I didn't like how it wasn't working yet. So I started adding something else. And then, and then all of a sudden I took my mind off of it and I gave up because I was like, well, this isn't working. I really was just too in control. And then bam, went right to where I needed to heal. It set in. I went through epi crisis and then whew, took me like 3 or 4 days to get back. But once I did, everything felt great. But I was exhausted because my body was not biologically adapting. I was forcing it to do something that it would have never done on its own unless I pushed it to do that. And I've done that a lot of times. So that was the last time I finally learned the lesson. I had done that several times before that. Cool. Awesome. Anybody else have any questions?
I have one more. So I purchased the bundle for the X49 and the energy enhancer because since I moved, right? Like I messaged you, I was feeling really tired and everything. And I want to know, how should I patch that in with what I'm doing? So I've been using, like, I have the X39 on right now, the carnosine and the SP6. And then I'm out of my Aeon, but that's coming tomorrow, I think. And then I switch off between the carnosine and the glutamine. But how would I patch in the X49? Because I want to kind of go back to the gym, but but the body's been tired and I haven't really felt like I had muscle strength.
So X49 is best one for females to wear below the upper body, so wear on your belly or somewhere low. But also it's best to wear on days that you're physically active or you're going to be exerting a lot of physical activity. So even if you feel like you're exhausted, but you're going to go to the gym and do something, wear it on those days. You don't have to wear X49 every day, but it's meant to be worn on the days that you're physically active so that you could facilitate active recovery. And also, the more days you wear it, especially lower body for women, you get bone density changes, you get a fat loss, you get the lean muscle mass. So just I always like to, it's a day patch for sure. It's not a nighttime patch. Just wearing it, like, I haven't been going to the gym the past couple weeks because I'm physically exhausted from doing all the things I'm doing, but I'm still wearing it